I'm going to demonstrate how to use colored pencils with baby oil, which is an interesting technique that I have been experimenting with and happen to love. And I am doing this with my fifth graders who had the job of taking a drawing of their sneaker. So they took their sneaker off, put it on the table, and did a drawing, and then had the challenge of creating a monster out of their sneaker. So here's my example of what I did, but my fifth graders have been extremely successful. So I'm going to flash a few of their pieces of artwork so that you can just take a look at all the variety. Some of them turn their monsters into machines, and you have little minions in here. So a successful sneaker monster starts off with a successful sneaker drawing, and these students achieved that and then were able to take their drawings to another level by turning them into sneaker creatures or sneaker monsters. And this one just has really great shading work, details, and then another one who turned his sort of into a monster and machine with all these machine guns and people and stuff. So I just love this project because of the creativity that I see from my students, and it also is really good for drawing and practicing your drawing skills, and it also has a great amount of color theory and color concept. So I'm going to start off by explaining this, which is the color spectrum, and also known as the rainbow. The rainbow is an amazing tool for artists because it basically is a guide to explain to you what colors blend well together. Now, these are not the only color combinations that work, but when you're starting off with color blending, stick with this. So if I wanted to take some yellow and blend it, I would look to the color wheel or the color spectrum to see what colors are next to yellow. So here's yellow. I see orange on this side or green on this side. So I could go mix yellow with orange, and I already know that that will be a successful color blending. So here's my example that I'm going to draw a little bit with you today, or color. So I have a sneaker that started off as an Adidas sneaker, and I saw the laces up here tied in a bow, and then I just sort of turned that into wings from a butterfly, and then I turned the toe of the sneaker with the lines that were there into the tail of the butterfly. I made some insects, and then I added some lips and a giant eye. I always find when you're drawing sneaker monsters, a big eye is helpful because it helps people to understand where the front of your monster is and where the back of your monster is. So if you're just starting off your drawing, get your sneaker drawing done and then think about where you want the eye first. So I'm going to start. This is not going to be a super duper long video. I'm not going to color this whole thing in, but I just wanted to give you some idea of the technique. So I'm going to begin with the largest areas first. Now, I always trace pressing hard with the color that I'm going to use to color in. So if I want this section of my butterfly sneaker to be this magenta pink, I'm going to trace around all of this with my magenta, and I'm pressing hard so that this color stands out and is really, really bold. Now, I have some nice details right here that I don't want to disappear, so I'm going to trace over those, also pressing hard, because I spent time doing it in pencil and I don't want to ruin it when you don't see it in color. Now, when you're using this technique, it's best to start off coloring, pressing softly, because you may decide that you want to layer. Now, I intentionally covered that up, that little drawn part there, because I don't want that to show. That wasn't a detail that I wanted. So when I'm coloring in pressing softly. I'm not really pressing too soft. I want some color to be on my paper, but I'm not pressing as hard as I did when I outlined. And I'm going to just trace the bottom eye here, and I'm going to do this too. I may decide to go over this with black later. But I don't want to go over it with black now, because if I use my baby oil, which will be my next step, the baby oil will mix the black with the pink, and I don't want that. I don't want those colors to be mixing. I'm coloring in one direction, so I'm trying to go neatly, and I'm trying to be careful about where my pencil is coloring. Now, if I want to blend my colors together, I have to think about the color spectrum, or the rainbow. And I need to look for pink on there. And pink would blend very nicely with some reds. So, and it could also go towards the purples, but I actually really like the way that that looks right there. So I'm going to use the red, and I'm going to just start to overlap my colors. And again, with this red, I am pressing soft. And this just gives you more variety in terms of the colors that you use. Now, I don't have to go all the way across this entire shape with my red, because maybe I want to introduce another color. And the other color could be the purple towards this end. The order of these colors is important. So if red is here, pink is in the middle, and then purple. So I'm going red, pink, purple. So I'm going to leave this area alone. Maybe I'll just layer a little more pink on there. And I'm overlapping these colors right here. The red and the pink are overlapping. I'm not sure if it's showing up on the camera, but right here I have a little bit of red and a little bit of pink, and they're kind of mixing together. That's called blending. And that's what makes it really successful. Now in this area where I have the magenta already, I'm going to very lightly, because purple is a dark color, I'm going to very lightly just touch this with the purple. I don't want to get all the way over here where there's already red. So I want there to be an area where there's red, an area where they're mixing, an area where there's pink, and then an area where the pink and the purple are mixing. Now is the fun part with baby oil. So this is a big enough space where I can use just a regular tissue, wrap it around your finger, and when you dip this into the oil, don't get too crazy, just a little bit. And if you're not even sure, just use your other hand and wipe it. Now, I'm going to start over here, and I'm staying in control. I'm trying to stay inside my lines, but you can automatically see that the baby oil is making this look more like paint. It's softening all these fuzzy looking lines. Wipe the extra. Circular motions are always good because it helps to mix the colors. Now, the thing that you want to keep in mind here is if you want your colors to blend, then go ahead with this big paper towel or tissue that you have on your finger. If you did not want colors to blend in small spaces, I would use one of these blending stumps. And I have indicated what colors I want. So if this were reds, I would be using the red side. Excuse me. Might be too much, wipe it off. All right. So I really like the way this looks, except, like I said, I have a feeling I wanted to go over this with black. So I'm going to trace this with black, and I'm not planning on using baby oil in this area anymore. Because if I did, then I would start mixing my black in, and I don't want that. I want to have the eyeball really show up, so I'm going to trace that with black. In my opinion, any line that doesn't get a color should get a black. Now maybe I want this little butterfly to have blue eyes. And I don't have to use baby oil there, and I probably don't want to because I already put the black, so I'm just going to press hard so that this really shows up well. Alright, so now I'm on to a new part, and another thing that I wanted to show you before I let you go and get to work is that you can also create value with colored pencils and baby oil. So if I want this this section of my, let's see, where should I go? Maybe I'll do one of these parts. If I want value here, I could trace around this section that I'm going to do with green, and I can start by coloring in, pressing hard. So I outline first all the time, pressing hard. For value, I'm not going to be adding any other color. I'm just going to be using green. But now I'm pressing hard, and as I move down in this shape, I'm going to press medium. And then I'm going to press soft down here. I'm going softer. And there you can already see the change in value. Light, medium, dark. So I pressed hard, medium, and soft. This is a little bit of a smaller area, so my automatic lights just shut off. There they go. Okay, now with my blender, I'm gonna start in this light section. I dipped it in baby oil. And you can see the blender doesn't work as fast as the tissue, but it's safer with these small areas. And there I go. So the baby oil is just a really cool technique that you can use to soften the look of your colored pencils. And you never want to go across an entire area with a tissue like this, because then all your colors start to mix together and they turn into this like muddy sort of brown, very dull looking color. That's all I'm going to do. I know it doesn't seem like I got a lot done, but here is where you could go with it. And here is the potential, just like you saw in all my other 5th graders' work. And there were so many 5th grade sneakers that were amazing that I wish I could have shown them all in this video, but I didn't want to take up too much time. So thank you all for watching. Have some fun with this technique. Experiment first. Keep this in mind. The color spectrum is very important. It's a great tool. And go play around and have some fun.